It was an unlikely piece of geometric perfection. A tube, about half a meter long, inside, a collection of bacon bits, sausage, and spices. And on the outside, an impeccable 6x6 weave of thick, juicy Maine bacon. Grill it, you chop it into rolls, and serve hot, known only as the bacon explosion. You're probably now divided into 3 groups. The first group thought that sounded delicious. The second group thought that sounded kind of disgusting. And then there's probably a very small third groups who think that the bacon explosion is a symbol through which you can understand what Commonwealth School is. And except for the second group of you, you're all right. So let's backtrack here for a second. When I came to Commonwealth, I was this guy, and I liked Star Trek and politics and Battlestar Galactica. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I kind of naturally assumed that when I got here, what would happen would be I'd try to find the other people who also liked Star Trek, politics, Battlestar Galactica, and I would meet those people. I would be friends with them, and that's really not how it happened with me. And I don't think that's how it happens here in general. When you look at this outgoing senior class, I think pretty much every class here, well, I mean, there are certainly defined social groups, but pretty much everyone from the first few weeks we were here was immediately able to feel comfortable with each other. And then over the next 4 years, what happened is, I think, a pretty amazing thing, that we had this very different group of people that have just grown really, really close to each other. And this community, that's going to be the thing I'm going to remember the most about this school. Because when you come to Commonwealth, you realize pretty quickly there aren't going to be a bunch of other people who like Star Trek and politics and Battlestar Galactica. And there's not going to be enough to make a community based around it. And that applies to pretty much anything else. And I think this has been a really healthy thing because at Commonwealth, it's pretty much impossible to insulate yourself among other people who are basically like you. And within a few weeks of being here, you don't even want to do that because as I began to realize 3 years ago, Commonwealth, and I think the senior class in particular, is made up of these open and friendly and generous and just brilliant people. And the mission of the Commonwealth student stops being, I'm going to find a niche to ride out my 4 years of high school, and starts being, I want to meet and enjoy the company of every single one of these people here, when I can. And so this is how I found myself last spring in Bridgeton, Maine, at the twice-yearly Hancock Retreat, grilling a giant slab of meat. This project was inspired by Ned Carson, bearded outdoorsman, Commonwealth High School legend. And the fact that I, who still loves Star Trek and politics and Battlestar Galactica, the fact that I was standing there on this spring day weaving a sumptuous mat of bacon speaks to what kind of a place this is. And as the day wore on, the bacon explosion suffusing the air with a mouth-watering odor, people began to gravitate over towards the grill. We were generous people, so we were willing to share the scraps. And even with those who hadn't even lent their labor to the undertaking of the bacon explosion. And I know some people think, will say Commonwealth will be at the forefront when the vegetarian socialist revolution sweeps the city. And they're probably right. But on that day, nobody turned up their nose at the joy and the camaraderie and the general good feeling of the bacon explosion. And on that day, I sort of looked around at this sort of diverse, different, really amazing group of people, and I remembered what it is that I love about this school, because bacon's really a wonderful thing. And so I think is this school and all of these people.